So now we're finally back into the meat and potatoes of this YouTube channel, why we created it in the first place. And it was for Avatar Conquest on Shogun 2, what I believe is the most unique multiplayer experience in Total War, and one of the more unique multiplayer experiences in any game I've ever played. Now, this was a 3v3 that I played with a bunch of Germans and Eastern Europeans, some really talented players, and people that I met very recently. On my side, it's going to be myself on the right flank, with VMS Victor holding down the middle, and An Lei Tung from Ides of March on the left flank, against Octorus from MPWW, Don Rumata holding down the middle, and then across from me, Ides of March Pro Ace. Now, this was a very interesting battle, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of moving parts. 3v3s and 2v2s are always harder to commentate because there's a lot of stuff going on, but I'm going to do my best, and I do think it was a very, very interesting battle. So, what did I bring this battle? I brought a Naginata Warrior Monk Corps, and actually Pro Ace right across from me brought the exact same thing, basically. So I have the 4 Naginata Warrior Monks. Mikoshi Portable Shrine and Renyu's Teachings are my retainers to help buff those guys up, and then I have some Yari Cav and some Naginata Warrior Monk Cavalry with Warcry. And this battle is going to start very, very quickly because we cannot allow anyone to get a hold on these dojos without trying to contest them. I actually do have a Walker Raider over here as well, but these fights are going to start very, very quickly. And Don Rumata's Walker Raider is going to try to cap this sword dojo, and very soon here I believe Victor is going to send some cav up there to punish him for that. But yeah, we cannot allow this sword dojo to get capped, so it's basically just going to be a rush to the dojos right at the beginning of this battle. And yeah, some light cav right up the middle. Don Rumata is going to try to pull his Walker Raiders out of the fight, but they are going to get charged in the rear. Actually not take too many losses. That was just a light cav, so not the biggest. Yeah, he lost 20 men, so that was definitely worth it from the light cav for sure. Looking at Pro Ace's setup, he's got some really heavily upgraded Naginata Warrior Monks, 15 melee attack, 20 melee defense. I'll have to be very careful when I enter a melee engagement here. I saw that Don Rumata was sending some Loansword Ashigaru unsupported up the middle, so I sent my Yari Cav in there to tie them down. I have 18 melee attack on them, so they're definitely going to be able to stay in the fight for a long time, and I'm going to be able to do some damage to those Loanswords, which I believe have banzai actually. And I'm going to have to commit my Naginata Warrior Monks to back them up as well. So all across the line, the fight's already beginning to start in earnest. And I am going to have to commit my melee general in there pretty soon. Remember that he does have Mempo Mask, and so he can go in and fight against Naginata Warrior Monks or any spear troops. But the fight over here is occurring on the left flank, and to try to break through that, I'm going to send in my general because I want to be able to break those Warrior Monks as quickly as possible and get some of my other troops in there. Now this is kind of dangerous because the really high defense units like Naginata Warrior Monks with 20 melee defense can really kind of punish my general if I send him in unsupported. So I'm going to do my best to send in as much as I can. And on the right flank here I am sending some Yari Cav to flank around. But this is not going to be an easy fight for me because he has all these spears and Naginata troops. It's going to make cavalry very, very dangerous to send in there because they will get punished by Naginatas for sure if they aren't completely supported properly. Yep, and these loanswords right here, you can see they're at half strength, but he's going to pop banzai and keep them in the fight for a lot longer than they probably should have been. And that's going to make it very hard for us to win this melee fight because units with only 20 men left in the unit are still fighting to the death. So banzai, very, very strong skill, going to make it very hard for us to break the left flank here. And it's a pretty even fight, honestly. This is going very, very quickly, but Victor has done relatively well. He's done a lot of damage here. But I'm going to have to help him with my Walker Raider, which are at half strength now. Going to try to get into this Matchlock Samurai. Should be an easy fight for them, but remember that the Walker Raiders are only at half strength, so they're not going to quite tear through these Matchlocks as fast as I'd want them to, maybe. And there are still some Loansword Ashigaru with 32 men left in the unit, still in the fight. Absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going to have to turn my walkers around and deal with those as well. It looks like Pro Ace is probably going to win his side of the fight. Like my cavalry got cleaned up because he sent a Naginata Warrior Monk to back up his Yari Cav. And some of my men are still in the fight, locked in a fight to the death with these Naginata Warrior Monks, but my line is starting to crumble, so keeping my general alive is going to be the most important thing right here. So I pulled them out. They're still at about half strength, so that's pretty good for me. And with the -3 morale from the Mempo Mask, I'm going to try to get some hammer and anvils off and break these units over here, because Victor did send some guys in to reinforce my position. 51 men left in the unit on those warrior monks. Have about 100 kills, but very high morale, 14 morale, so it's not going to be easy to rout them at all. And my line crumbled over there. I do believe that I'll have a Naginata warrior monk come back at some point from over there, but I did lose to Pro Ace. Fortunately, Anlei Tung was able to clean up Arcturus on this flank, so he's going to be able to keep much of his army intact. Actually, he's got a bulletproof samurai and a bunch of melee units still left. So in the middle here is where it's all going to be decided. My general is going to be the only unit basically I have left for the moment. And maybe my Waka Raider. Do I still have my Waka alive? Yeah. I committed them, but they're about to rout against the loanswords of Naginata. But they're going to be able to make a last stand here and take out a couple more men. But keeping my general alive at this point is going to be very, very important, because it's a very powerful unit. I mean, it's at half strength, that's true, but 27 melee attack, 19 morale, and banzai still active. So if I can keep them alive and then get some hammer and anvils when Anlei Tung manages to get over here, we should be in relatively good shape. In fact, if you look at the balance bar, this is from Pro Ace's perspective, we're in very, very good shape. Like, we're definitely probably going to win this battle, because Pro Ace just doesn't have very many men left. So I did have the Naginata warrior monk come back from routing, and I believe, yeah, I capped the archery dojo, not that there are any ranged units left. This was a very rush-focused map and very rush-focused army builds for most of us. He did have a couple matchlock samurai and a matchlock warrior monk, but over on our side of the battle, in the middle here, in the middle, and on my flank, I don't think there were any ranged units. So battle in the middle here is going on between Victor and Pro Ace, and again, everyone's just beaten to hell at this point. Most of the units are depleted to half strength or worse. But yeah, we're definitely going to be able to win this battle at this point. I'm going to commit my general against Arcturus' general. And being a melee gen, going to be able to clear that off the charge. And we're able to clean that up pretty easily. So I think Pro Ace did a very good job of locking my guys down with his Naginata warrior monks. It was basically just he had a little bit better veterancy, and he did a better job protecting his flank from my cavalry. He managed to keep one spear in the back to help kill off my cav, and that ended up being a deciding factor on my side. But I did enough damage to Pro Ace and Don Rumata in the middle there on his loanswords that we were able to clean up our side. And overall, I think it was a pretty exciting battle, but a lot of stuff going on, so again, hard to commentate, but I did my best. Don't hate me. Gonna go to the stats screen real quick and see what the deal is there. So that's the thing about those 3v3s, is that just a lot of moving pieces. It can be very, very hard to keep track of everything that goes on, especially when you're trying to kill the opponent across from you and reinforce your allies as well. And that's the biggest thing, is that the teams that work together, it sounds very obvious, teams that work together the best are usually the ones that win, but it can be very, very hard to send cavalry to one side, make sure that they're not engaged in units like spears that they shouldn't be engaged with, and then also focus on your melee engagement over on your side. So being spread out all over the battle can be very, very helpful if you're able to micro effectively. If you aren't and it's just too much for you, I would suggest to keep all your troops over on one side, because losing a unit for nothing is not the way to do things. And so in that battle, I decided to keep all my cavalry on one flank on my side and just send the Waka Raider over there to maybe help cap buildings. And it actually, my Waka Raider ended up doing relatively well. It was able to kill a matchlock unit that was shooting into Victor's troops, and it made a pretty big impact on that battle. Now if you look at stats, Ante Lung definitely did the best. He basically ran over Arcturus. But overall, in general, I think we all did relatively well. I think we held up our side of the battle pretty well, and the kills are pretty evenly distributed. Unit statistics wise, yeah, my Waka Raiders did very, very well. Over 200 kills. My general was absolutely my MVP in that battle. The Mempo Mask that was distributing that -3 morale penalty, very big in that fight for sure. And was able to kill some Naginata warrior monks basically unsupported, which was kind of surprising, because you don't really want to commit them unsupported like that, so I was maybe a little bit too ballsy with my general. I just got lucky that he didn't die, but I think I committed him in the right spots, that I held down those warrior monks in the middle there, and was just able to get a lot of kills because they're low armor, and the Avatar's bodyguard has such high melee attack that I was able to cut through them. My naginata monks did okay. I mean, they didn't do absolutely fantastic, but they were against similarly classed naginatas on the other side from Pro Ace. Let's see. Yeah, those loansword Ashigaru, interesting core. You don't see them very often, but when you can get banzai on them, they're absolutely worth it. They're just very, very cost effective, and they can get a lot of kills because banzai just gives them the unbreakable morale. That's the biggest thing with the loansword, is that they have the bad morale, but if you activate banzai, they can't break. So you just keep them in the fight for a long time, and with the they have the men in the unit advantage. They have 150 men instead of 120. So they do fight for a long time if you can get banzai on them. Very good upgrade. Looking at Victor, he did really well. That Nonachi Samurai almost had 300 kills. That's ridiculous. So across the line, he did pretty well. And then these Bulletproof Samurai. I've said it before, I think the Bulletproof Samurai are a ridiculous unit. And it's good that they're capped at 1. Because the armor, the 11 or 12 armor that they have, makes it almost impossible to kill them when they also get 20 plus melee defense. They just take forever to kill. Very good dedicated spear unit, can tank swords and naginatas for a very long time. They're just like Yari Samurai on steroids, basically. Like a naginata samurai and Yari Samurai just mixed together with the best of both worlds. They're just a ridiculous unit when you upgrade them heavily. And then Pro Ace, his warrior monks, 244 kills. Pretty ridiculous. But that'll happen when you give them that many upgrades and use them effectively. So, hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll try to bring you some more team battles from Shogun 2 soon. And again, patch 9 was released recently, so I'll try to get, when that's officially released, I'll try to get some Rome 2 footage as well. Otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you all later. Indie Pride signing out.